I can't say it. All right. Hey guys, this is Nat and Jess, both coaches at Big Lit CrossFit. We are in the process of starting a new podcast, hopefully to be helpful to you all, talk about some different topics, mainly faith and fitness based. And we'll also be going over some tips and strategies for the programming that's coming up in the next coming week.
All right. Yeah. So your topic for today is going to be knowing your why. Like, why do you do what you do? Is there purpose behind it? Are you just showing up because you're paying money, or are you doing it for a greater purpose, a greater cause, something more long-term? So we are going to start with why should you find your why, and we'll go through from there. So Nat, why should we find our why for what we're doing in here or in life?
Yeah. So knowing your why is what gives you purpose. When you have purpose in your actions, that leads to more consistency. It helps guide your decision making. It even increases motivation for you to do what you're doing. A really big psychologist out there, his name is Viktor Frankl. He wrote, even when not fully attained, we become better by striving for a higher goal. And his whole philosophy was about having purpose in life. And if a man has a purpose or a woman has a purpose, that's what drives them to better things. And that's what gives them fulfillment in life. And that's what gives them their happiness and guidance throughout all of their decisions in life.
Yeah, I like that. And I agree. I think we were made on purpose and for a purpose. And Natalie has given us, we're going to have a bunch of faith throughout these podcasts as part of who we are and what we do. But the scripture she's given us for today is Romans 8:28. It's all things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. So we were made for a purpose and for a very good purpose is what we believe. I've also, back in the day, read some stuff from Chris Spieler, an old CrossFit person, and he gave you 3 reasons you should have a why, and it's for purpose, passion, and drive. It gives you those 3 things. Your purpose gives you motivation, gives you some direction as you're training or whatever it is you're doing. Your passion is that fire within you that can fade. So sometimes we come in here and we're excited and we're fired up for things, but that can fade because life is hard and we've got hard things to do. And then your drive is your desire to persevere even through those hard things. So I think there's a lot of benefit to having a why and to writing it down and being able to look back at that.
Yeah, for sure. I think having that why also, I know a lot of us will start off motivated. You know, we're coming up on the new year. We think about all these things we want to do and we get super motivated. But we get confused on what our actual why is. Simon Sinek, who does a lot of finding your why and the purpose behind it, he talks about how if you have something that's like making money or losing weight, something that's result driven, that can actually fade really quick and you can lose your motivation and that dies off. But when you have a why that gives you inspiration and purpose and goes beyond that result driven goal there, that's what keeps you disciplined and keeps you moving toward that goal. So something to keep in mind too with that.
Yeah, I like that. And I think in a week or two, we're probably going to do some stuff about finding goals and things that you can do in here. So I think it's really important to have this foundation of why are you doing this and why are you here? So I like that. Anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's kind of covers it quickly for you guys. If you have more questions though at any point, please let us know. But while we're talking about whys, what would you say is your personal why and why you do everything that you do here at this gym?
Yeah, I try to be pretty straightforward about who I am. So this is probably not going to be a surprise to anybody, but I'll read mine. I wrote this back when Hannah was a little baby about why I train, why I do CrossFit. And I think it's very applicable for today. So why do I train and do CrossFit? I train and coach CrossFit because God has given me the ability and blessing to do so. God sees me and has known me since before I was born. He knows my mess and my sin, and yet he loves me still. He loves me so much that he gave his son Jesus to redeem me and give me eternal life and new life here on earth. And now I get to use these skills he has so graciously given me and bring him all the glory. I train and coach to be a good steward of the skills he has given me. I train and coach to show I am thankful for him and all he has done for me. I train and coach to grow closer to God. I train and coach because it is my mission field. Through training and coaching, I have the opportunity to enjoy the sport of CrossFit and live a healthier lifestyle. I can take care of this body God has entrusted to me and be fit to care for my family and active throughout my life. Through training and coaching, I can be a role model for my little girls and show them that fitness is fun and that women can be strong too. Through this, I can show them how to care for others, build communities, build relationships, and ultimately build his kingdom. I coach not only to help people be stronger, faster, and healthier, but to point them to Jesus. I coach because I get to make disciples through something I love. So that's written out. But that's something that I love that we're doing this because it makes me look back at that and be like, okay, this is why I'm doing it. Like, life is hard.
Yeah.
Kids are hard. You come in here, you get in the door, and it's just like, I am like exhausted from wrangling them to get here. But it's like, this is the coolest place I've seen the coolest things happen through here, and it is a gift for me to be able to do this. And I love that this has made me look back at that and be like, oh yeah, like there's something way bigger at stake than just me doing a workout or me coaching a workout, and it makes the time I have here seem very valuable. So
Do you have any examples of, not to like call you out or like make you
You
have to be vulnerable, but any examples of times that maybe your motivation was down or you didn't quite feel like being here or something like that, but knowing your why and being clear on your why made it easier or clearer as to, coming in and having a good attitude while being here?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just postpartum stuff is really hard because you're trying to be a good mom, and that's hard in itself. And then you can't and all the moms in here know this. Your workouts are usually interrupted, and for a period of time, I couldn't even like work out within the class because it was just like pieced together workouts. So it's like, is what I'm doing making any difference? And it is, but it's easy to get in your own little space and be like, no. Like I remember telling myself at one point, like nobody would notice if I just didn't show up, like I didn't come back, and it's hard. It's, sad to think about that, but you get in that space.
I'm sure a lot of people feel that way though.
Yeah. And we would notice you didn't come back.
We have a list. We know.
Yeah, and so it's easy to get in that negative self-talk, and but having that to come back to, it's like God putting a check on you, like, hey, yeah, I know you're struggling, but you've got a bigger purpose. Get back up and keep going and keep coming in. I love, Kurt would always say, who's one of our coaches, he would say, when you walk on that door as a coach, you got to flip that switch on. Mm-hmm. Like people's time that they've given you is valuable. So I see that as a coach side too. Like whatever I'm going through the rest of the day, when I walk in here, I want to flip that switch and be my best for the people that are entrusted to me. So yeah.
I think people can tell that about you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So now, what is your why? I would love to hear that.
So my why, I don't have it fancy written out like you do, but that is no, I love that. That's actually, as we started talking about this, that's something I would like to do. I think it would be good for everyone to have it written out and clear, really nail down the specifics. But in a general term, because I coach here and I've coached sports for years, so I've kind of always had to have some sort of coaching philosophy. And being honest about it, I actually had a lot of mental health problems, I guess you could say, in high school. And when I started playing soccer, that was when I really felt like God brought that together for me. And that was a big change in my life. And the coaches that I had, actually, two of the dads of coaches here were my coaches in high school. So that's kind of a cool aspect. But they had a huge impact on me and benefiting my mental health and changed my life so drastically at such a young age. And it's continued as I've gotten older. And I can tell when I'm not in here with the community, or I'm not working out, I'm not being active, I'm not taking care of myself, that my mental health also goes down. Yeah. Like there's a very strong tie between being healthy. And I can see how that relates to so many other people that I get to coach, whether it's the kids I'm coaching in soccer or here at the gym, we're doing CrossFit kids here. Like it's a tie that you can show a light to something bigger than you are in such a direct way. And I think it impacts mental health in so many different aspects, whether it's the community, taking care of your body, working towards something, having a purpose, all those different things lead to mental health. So I felt like God kind of like led me down this path where that's my way of being able to serve others and reach others, going through it myself and then being able to help people on the other side of it. I like that. So that's, I should write that out in a better way, but it's going to make you do that. Would absolutely be my why. And I can see that all the time when I come in here and you have those personal conversations with people. I love that. Yeah.
That's cool. Do you feel like your why has changed over the years, like based on what you've experienced, or?
I think it has gotten more detailed. Yeah. I don't think it's changed, but I think it has gotten more detailed. And I've worked, because I've worked in a psychiatric hospital, and I actually worked with like veterans for a while with PTSD. And so it's gotten like deeper. Like I can see even the strong ties on a deeper psychological level.
Yeah.
And so that, like I said, I think it's gotten more detailed, but no, it hasn't changed.
I like that because I feel like it's almost like an anchor, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something you need, something that's firm foundation for you to come back to. That's not going to waver.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Absolutely.
I like the detail part too, because I think the details of your life will change as you grow.
Yeah.
You have different things at stake in your life, you know.
Absolutely. So I think that's a challenge for everyone. Like, go and find your why that you do anything, whether it's going to the gym, coaching, your job. Know why you do it, and it will change your perspective on showing up every day.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. It'll prove your consistency.
Yes.
Results guaranteed. All right. So we've gotten our whys, why we think it's important. I think Natalie's got some really good information on how you start to develop your why. So Natalie, how do we get started on finding our why?
Yeah. So there's so many different ways that you can go at this, but I try to narrow it down to just 3 points to start. Like you said, start finding that why. First is reflect on past experiences. What has given you fulfillment in the past? What inspires you? Like what, when someone starts talking about it, you're like, I want to be a part of this conversation. So that's going to narrow it down a little bit about like what's going to keep you in that fulfilled state if you keep working toward it. Then you have to take those past experiences. And the second point is identify future goals. Like, what do you want to see change in the future? What would you like to be a part of in the future? What motivates you and intrigues you that you can create disciplined steps to continue that way? So kind of tying those two together. And then the third one is praying for guidance and clarity. Like ultimately, our greatest purpose is bringing glory to God.
Absolutely.
And so making sure that it's in the light of our greatest purpose. So those would be the 3 things to kind of just start that ball rolling and start thinking about it. And then once you start getting it going in your mind, write it down. Like that's something that I failed at that I wish I would have picked up that you did, is really writing it down and having a tangible way to go back to that.
Yeah, I like that. And you're right. I mean, if I hadn't saved that, Google Drive is amazing.
Yeah.
So sponsor us, Google. But
anyone else who wants to sponsor us also. Like,
let me do some today's right here. But anyways, but seriously, like I would have forgotten that if it wasn't written down. You know, like like I kind of can remember some of it, but like all the details, that it starts to stir that passion back up, like you talked about, and that fire gets you going again. And I think that's totally necessary. So yeah, I think that's good. And the praying for clarity, like I ask God all the time to make things super clear to me, because it is lost cause without that. So.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so that's your why stuff. Do we have anything else to add before we do programming? Goodness.
No, just challenge everyone. Write your why, find your why.
Yep. Yeah. Challenge for the new year. All right. So,
all right, let's dig into this.
Yeah, so each week we like to take little pieces of their programming and just highlight some stuff we're doing, or stuff, maybe strategy points, and give you like some more purpose behind the programming too, before we close our podcast. So programming, where do you want to start with? Strategy? Or do you want to start with?
Let's actually, I love your idea of talking about the deficit deadlifts. Okay. I think that's something to jump in right away.
Okay. So we occasionally have stuff come through our programming that it seems novel, but there is a lot of purpose in it. And I think people sometimes see it come up and they're like, oh, why are we doing this dumb stuff? But there is there's purpose in whatever we do. Like we spend a lot of time, moving through this and making sure it's good for all of our athletes. So there's purpose in those deficit deadlifts. I think it's for athletes who can get in that good position, it's going to help you get a stronger pull off the ground. A lot of the times we go to do a max deadlift and we just can't get it more than like an inch off the ground, right? So it's going to strengthen some of these more the strength at the end range of motions, and make us stronger for our deadlifts, which helps improve our cleans and our pulls for snatches and everything else, and give us more power and strength through our hips. So things we're looking for as coaches, we want to make sure you're safe in that setup, because we have sometimes we have some immobilities and things we just can't get in a good deadlift position. So if that's the case, your coach is going to come to you and either make your deficit smaller. So we're looking at probably no more than 2 inches for most of our athletes, maybe 3 inches. I think our 35-pound plates are about 2.5 inches high. So somewhere in there, we're going to make the deficit appropriate for you, because what we want when you do that deadlift is to really drive your legs and drive your feet into the floor, versus using those erectors in your back to pull that deadlift up. So we want to teach you appropriate muscle use for this deadlift, which should be a good thing and a safe thing for you overall. So
as an athlete, because I know in CrossFit gyms we talk a lot about, it's how your body feels. What are some of the body differences that you might feel from a normal deadlift to a deficit deadlift that you should be feeling?
So you're going to feel it through your legs more probably, because you're going to have to get a little bit lower in your setup. It still should not be like a clean setup where your chest is a little more upright. You should still have that appropriate angle in your back, but you're going to have to get lower and bend your knees a little bit more because the bar is so close, further down to reach it, which is, still functional. Because if you think about stuff you got to pick up off the ground, not everything is bar height, on plates off the ground. Like you've got to pick up kids or a bag of dog food or something that is sitting really low in the ground, and you've got to get lower. So it's going to feel a little bit different, but it's still completely functional.
Yeah. Way to plug in that functional fitness.
Like that?
Love that. Yeah.
You're welcome, CrossFit.
Also sponsor us.
Yeah.
My next question for you, and this is more for my own personal benefit because I struggle with this. So we've had a couple of workouts, and we have a couple coming up where it's a lot of short rounds. And so the mental strategy difference between even a same time workout that has less rounds, like maybe you're supposed to complete 3 rounds in it, versus a workout where you're like maybe 18 rounds in an 18-minute time cap. What is the strategy difference of staying on pace between those longer rounds and those shorter rounds in the same time frame?
Yeah. So it is hard it's easy. We talked about some of the mental game that we have. Yeah. It's like, oh, I feel great. No, I don't. Still 16 rounds to go, because we just finished the 20 round. Well, came close to finishing the 20 round workout. So this is fresh in our minds. But I think, the pacing is the one thing, because pacing is going to be different than like our EWODs or something like that. But kind of taking a look and making sure we're staying about the same each round. And then as you start to feel good and you get good rhythm patterns with moving, you can increase that without redlining. And then once you get to the last couple minutes of the workout, then you're really pushing that intensity without your form falling apart. Because in CrossFit, we're going to see the most results out of the intensity part of it, right? Because if we're just steadily moving through this workout, it never really gets like uncomfortably hard. It's going to be harder to see results on that. You can do all the volume you want, but if we're not reaching appropriate intensity, then we're not going to see the results that we want. So I think if you can settle into the workout, so maybe you start out a little quick and then settle into a good pace of like, okay, I'm going to commit to doing this much work in this amount of time and stick with it. And then at the very end, you got to get in your uncomfortable zone. I think that'll keep you kind of focused and motivated, especially with a 20 round workout. Okay. Sometimes if you're not looking at the clock, if it's hard to keep track of time, maybe it's like a breath thing. So today I had a heavy dumbbell. So maybe it's, okay, I'm going to take maybe 2 big rests and then pick up my dumbbell set. Something like that, and not allow yourself to go, with hands on knees for 30 seconds before you do your
okay, call me out.
Not you specifically, maybe me. But something like that, to where you're keeping yourself on task, but then you're challenging yourself towards the back end of the workout.
So just to clarify, are you saying, let's say we have a 20 round workout, are you saying that you want to get X amount of rounds in 5 minutes and like break down the goals? And I ask because like I'm a very goal oriented person. Yeah. So if you tell me I'm supposed to do something and it's going to equal out to like 3 rounds in 20 minutes, I'll get through a round before like I take a rest. Yeah. But if you tell me I'm supposed to do 20, I'm going to take a rest at the end of every 20 rounds. Yeah. And so it's hard for me to like stay on task and stay moving through those 20 rounds.
It depends on your skill set too. Because if you're on a workout like we did today, if you go to muscle failure, it's just done. Right. So you do have to rest appropriately. But it could be for you specifically, maybe if it's a dumbbell to box jumps like it's today, as soon as I put down my dumbbell, I'm going straight to the box jumps. Because I know I can jump in the box, right? So I can get up there, finish my 4, and then maybe I take the longer break between that and the handstand push-ups like we had today. We can look at specifically for next week. But committing to, as soon as I finish one movement, I'm doing that next, but then I get my break.
Right.
So maybe that's a better way to think about
it. So yeah, let's pull up that workout for next week and kind of talk about that more, because I know we've been doing a lot of longer workouts, and we've done those EWOD workouts where they're big sets and you're moving through that. But as we get into some of these workouts, we've heard a lot of people talking about like, how do you strategize that? How do you move through those smaller rounds?
So you want to look at the 20 round one?
Yeah.
All right. So it's Thursday. It's 18 rounds. That's better. All right. So right now we're looking at, and some of the stuff may get changed as we may adjust stuff for you guys, but right now it's 18 rounds of 6 walking dumbbell lunges, 6 wall balls, and 6 toes to bar, right? With the 18-minute caps. You're looking at, 1 minute per round at most. So transitions is going to be a big thing. What do you think about like breaking stuff up versus doing it unbroken?
I think it depends on the athlete, big time for that. So ideally for this, I think you should go unbroken on all of those though. Yeah. Like, and if you're not able to go unbroken, I would scale it back rather than break it up. Like do sets, do 4, 4, and 4 rather than 6, 6, and 6.
Yeah. That's a good option too. And we can, as coaches, if you come to your coach and be like, hey, I'm kind of in between tracks here, or I'm not quite to this level, they can give you advice on, hey, maybe you can scale back numbers or do the higher gymnastic skill but a lower weight.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
And while we're talking about that, this goes back to what our topic was earlier, is knowing your why even going into a workout and what your purpose is in that workout. Because I know for some of us, using today's as an example, my why today is I'm working on handstand push-ups. And so it was less about intensity in my score and more about scaling it appropriately so that I can get those handstand push-ups improved. And so that's something to talk to your coach about. Like, not every single day has to be a top score day.
No, or a super high intensity day.
No. Yeah. So utilize your coaches and figure out your why for each workout too.
Yeah. I think that's great advice.
So moving forward in these podcasts, we will be talking a little bit about strategy, a little bit about some maybe technique or things that we're doing in the programming. But if you all have questions or things specifically that you want addressed, or more strategy or more of anything, really whatever, we don't know what we're doing. We're trying.
Yeah.
Add comments, ask us to do it. We're more than happy to do it. We're ultimately trying to do this podcast to be more of a tool for you all to be able to use and a benefit to the gym members. So let us know what you need, and we'd love to be able to provide that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then hopefully we'll have some events coming up. I know we've got a Christmas party coming up, so that'll be fun. And then we want to get something together, ideally called One Body, where it's a collection or meetings within other gyms, or with other gyms. So it's Faith RX-ish type thing where we have a devotional, we work out, that kind of thing, but we invite people from other gym communities to come in and kind of do that. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully we can get it started this coming year.
Yep. So if you have stayed listening this entire time, thank you. We appreciate you.
You win.
Yeah. You get a top score today.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
That's it. It's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Hey, pop champagne. Here we go.
Champagne, Jessica.
Today. Sparkling cider. Oh, do you want to hear that? I'll tell you that story since it's recording.
Okay.
So, real life story. Abby Jo, the other day, had string cheese for lunch.
That's already funny.
I was out of the room for like a minute. I come back and she's like, hey, mommy, look at me. I look and she's got 2 pieces of string cheese. It's like, this is a really bad runny nose. And then, this is where it gets great. She goes, booger shut in. So there's your real life story.
Oh man, being a mom is wild.
It's great.
Okay.
So anyway,
well,
I think we're ready to start now.
Okay.